What if I told you that 5000 years ago, people in India lived in cities with perfect roads, private bathrooms, and water systems more advanced than some today? No kings ruled them, no wars defined them, yet they thrived. This is the untold brilliance of the Indus Valley Civilization. The Harappan or Indus Valley Civilization is older than Chalcolithic cultures, but it was much more advanced. It started in the northwest part of the Indian subcontinent. It is called Harappan because it was first found in 1921 by Dayaram Sahni at Harappa, which is now in West Punjab, Pakistan. This civilization spread across many areas like Punjab, Sindh, Balochistan, Gujarat, Rajasthan and parts of western Uttar Pradesh. It stretched from Jammu in the north to the Narmada River in the south and from Makaran coast in the west to the Meerut in the northeast. The total area was about 1.3 million square kilometers, which is larger than Pakistan and bigger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. No other civilization in the world at that time covered such a large area. More than 250 Harappan sites have been found, but only 6 are considered real cities. The two most important cities were Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, both situated in present-day Pakistan. They were about 483 kilometers apart and connected by Indus River. Another sites include Mohenjo-Daro, Lothal, Kalibangan and Banwali. Both Kalibangan and Banwali showed two stages, pre-Harappan and Harappan. In the Harappan stage, we find mud brick platforms, streets and drainage systems. The Harappan culture also reached coastal cities like Sutkajandor and Surkotada, which had citadels, that is fort-like structures. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Harappan civilization is town planning and architecture. What truly sets this culture apart is its well-organized city layout, which was far ahead of its time. To begin with, cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro had special area called citadel or upper town, likely reserved for the ruling class. Just below the citadel was a lower town where the common people lived in brick houses. Now, what's really impressive is the grid system used in these cities. Roads were laid out to intersect at right angles, dividing the city into neat blocks. Moving on to public structures, the Great Bath of Mohenjo-Daro stands out as a masterpiece located on the Citadel Mount. It was built with beautifully arranged burnt bricks. The tank measured 11.88 by 7.01 meters and was 2.43 meters deep. There were steps on both ends and side rooms for changing clothes. Water came from a large well nearby and drained out through a corner outlet. Many experts believe this bath was used for ritual bathing, which played an important role in religious ceremonies. Next, let's talk about the granaries. In Mohenjo-Daro, the largest building was granary, which is 45.71 meters long and 15.23 meters wide. But Harappa had 6 granaries built on brick platforms near the river. Just south of these granaries were circular brick platforms, likely used for threshing grain, and traces of wheat and barley were found there. Interestingly, Kalibangan also had brick platforms in its southern part, which might have served as granaries. Clearly, grain storage was a major part of Harappan city planning. Another remarkable feature was the use of burnt bricks. While Egyptian buildings mostly used sun-dried bricks and Mesopotamian structures used baked bricks to some extent, the Harappans used burnt bricks extensively, showing their advanced construction techniques. Now, let's look at their drainage system, which was truly ahead of its time. In cities like Mohenjo-Daro, almost every house, big or small, had its own courtyard and bathroom. In Kalibangan, many homes even had private wells. Wastewater flowed from houses into the street drains, which were sometimes covered with bricks or stone slabs. These drains even had manholes, showing how much care was taken for cleanliness and hygiene. Similar remains have been found in Banwali too. All in all, the drainage system, the quality of bathrooms, and the attention to the public health were truly remarkable. Now, let's take a closer look at how Harappan people farmed and fed their cities, even in a region that today seems dry and less fertile. To begin with, the Indus region today receives only about 15 centimeters of rainfall, making it quite rainless and barren. However, in ancient times, it was much more fertile, as seen from the prosperous villages and towns that once thrived there. So, what made the land so productive back then? Well, one major reason was the natural vegetation that once covered the region. This vegetation helped attract more rainfall and provided timber and fuel for baking bricks and building structures. But over time, this greenery was cleared away due to agriculture, grazing, and the need for fuel. More importantly, the annual flooding of the Indus River played a key role in making the land fertile. The river brought in rich alluvial soil, even more than the Nile in Egypt, and deposited it on the floodplains. Just like the Nile supported Egyptian civilization, the Indus nourished, Sindh, and sustained its people. Here's how farming worked. The Harappan sowed seeds in November after the flood waters recede and harvested crops like wheat and barley in April before the next flood arrived. Although no horse or iron plough have been found, furrows discovered at Kalibangan suggest that fields were ploughed, possibly using wooden ploughshares. It's still unclear whether these ploughs were pulled by humans or oxen, and for harvesting, they might have used stone sickles. In some areas like Balochistan and Afghanistan, people build gabbar bands or nalas, which are small dams to store water. However, canal irrigation doesn't seem to have been used by the Harappans. Now let us talk about the food they grew. Harappan villages, mostly located near floodplains, produce enough food not just for themselves but also for the city dwellers, including artisans, merchants, and others who didn't farm. They grew 2 types of wheat and barley along with peas, sesame, mustard, and even cotton, making them the first people in the world to grow cotton. In fact, the Greeks called cotton as sinden, which is a word derived from Sindh. Interestingly, at Lothal, rice was used as early as 1800 BC and its remains have been found there. To store all this produce, the Harappan builds huge granaries in the cities like Mohenjo-Daro, Harappa, and possibly Kalibangan. Let us now explore other fascinating part of Harappan life, that is, the domestication of animals. While agriculture was the backbone of their economy, the Harappan also raised animals on large scale which played a vital role in their daily life. To begin with, they domesticated oxen, buffaloes, goat, sheep, and pigs. Among these, the hump bull was especially favored and often seen in Harappan arts and seals. These animals were likely used for farming, transport, and food. From the very beginning, dogs were kept as pets, and interestingly, cats were also domesticated. In addition to this, the Harappans also kept asses and camels, which were used for carrying goods and materials across long distances. Now, when it comes to horse, the evidence is a bit unclear. A few signs of horses have been found, like a terracotta figurine from Lothal and some remains from a superficial layer at Mohenjo-Daro. And also, horse remains dated around 2000 BC have been discovered from Sutkodada. On the other hand, elephants were also well known to Harappans. They were likely used for heavy work and possibly had symbolic or religious importance. The Harappans were also familiar with rhinoceros, which shows their close connection with nature and wildlife. Interestingly, when we compare Harappan life with the Sumerian cities of Mesopotamia, we find that both civilizations grew similar crops and domesticated many of the same animals. However, the Harappans in Gujarat had a unique edge. They grew rice and domesticated elephants, which the Mesopotamians did not. And in the next class, we'll continue the technological skills and craftsman's, trade connections, political organization, and religious practices. Until then, if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe for more such videos.